Welcome to Season 2 of Pod Practice, where Mama Bird alumni Quinn Feiner, Mikey Lund, and myself, Alex Atkins, talk about Ultimate from the perspective of players and coaches. We want to engage with you, so please reach out, say hi, ask a question, give some feedback. We look forward to talking with you. To reach out, follow us on Instagram or YouTube at podpractice_pod. Listen on Spotify at Pod Practice, or email us at show@podpracticepod.com. I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome into another episode of Pod Practice, everyone. I think it's going to be a chill one with just me and Mr. Mikey here. Quinn in Australia, Maddie doing something.
MIA.
No guests, but a pretty busy time in the Ultimate community with Worlds going on, Pro Championships just happened, UFA just ended, college gearing back up.
Oh yeah, we got
Bird starting to have tryouts, so a lot going on. Perhaps most exciting of all of those things, the new Pod Practice t-shirts.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. I'm wearing our season 1 roster t-shirt. It's late release, obviously, since we are in, I don't know, 80% of the way through season 2. There'll be $40. I'll list them online soon, probably tonight. But let's see here. You see that okay, Kins?
Yeah, the Axolotl.
So we got the Axolotl logo on there. And then on the back, it's the season 1 roster. I like the way these ones turned out, actually.
I do too. I like the roster. It's commemorative. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it'll be a fun tradition to do.
Yeah, I think it will be too. It'll be fun to look back and see who was on it. A lot of people too. It's just funny.
Yeah, I think our season 2 roster will probably be bigger.
Wow.
And then we have the ringer tee. It's like I'm calling it the otaku tee. It's
clean.
Yeah. And on the back we have our anime logo.
Super clean. That logo's so funny.
I love it. So yeah, if you want to help support the pod, we have I don't know if it's how to pronounce it, a coffee page, and I think I'll probably list the t-shirts there because it sounds easy. It's limited release. I think we have probably, I forget now, under 40 of each though.
Probably like 39 because iHacker's got one with his name on it.
That's true.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So just a couple.
Know your size.
You've got to be a big Pod Practice fan to get one for sure.
Yeah, and it does help support what we're doing here. I know, we don't do a ton. We talk into some microphones, but we have some plans, and it takes time and effort. We'd love to expand.
Is this where I tell people to like and subscribe?
Yeah, please like.
Hit that thumbs up button.
Comment
down below your favorite season 1 guest. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Comment below your favorite season 1 guest, and even venture as to why, if you're so bold.
And if you're not sure which guests are season 1, I guess I'll list them, or just tell us your favorite guest in general. That's fine.
Yeah. You'll probably just overlay a picture of the shirts, would be my guess, in the post.
Yeah.
That'll be easiest. But what should we start with? You want to start with Pro Champs, or you want to start with a quick WUC? We can quick WUC because it's...
quick WUC.
Is it WUC?
WUC. This is the first
club?
year. It's just This is the first year it's just called WUC. I think it used to be
Right.
WUGC.
Right. Because of the guts. Yeah.
Did they
But
get rid of guts? Is guts not a
No,
thing
I
anymore?
saw guts on there on the page.
WUGC. All right, since Worlds is over, Kins and I are hopping back on to re-record some stuff here. We had been previewing a little bit of Worlds, but it's not really relevant anymore, and we thought we'd jump on and just chat about something we like better anyway, since Worlds was just pretty boring, to be honest, except for Colombia, USA. But we'll wait for Quinn to get back before we touch on Worlds. Get some actual interesting perspective from someone who was there on the ground. Kins, what are we talking about instead?
Offense and the reset. Really just offense, I would say, is the broad topic, and but specifically like how resets are positioning and attacking, specifically on the sideline.
And are we talking about both trap situations and flat wide situations?
I think so. I'm kind of at the point where a lot of the time when I think about offense, I'm not sure how much the mark really affects
Matters.
it, because
Yeah.
I think it's more about the flow of players and stuff, and the mark is kind of just there to maybe make some things more difficult and whatnot. But there's not. I don't usually have cuts that I'm like, oh. I mean, it matters for sure.
It matters a little bit. You think of, especially when you consider what happens next. Like a break throw usually leads to another break throw, for instance.
Totally. No, it does matter. But yes, so forget that necessarily. But in this situation, I don't think the trap and the reset differs too much, because, I mean, even like recently we've been, if you're playing like a vertical stack and the trap reset is a little bit positive, a lot of time teams like to clear them up line forward to get them out of the space, and then the one has both directions to go. They could go up line towards the sideline, they could go back to the reset. And I think like on the wide side, because normally it's 45 back, a lot of times teams are more okay with going to the one first before you go to the reset. But I'm so anti this cut from 45 back reset to the sideline right now.
Yeah, quickly. Can you? So we're talking specifically wide side right now, and I think a lot of people call it flat side. Should we focus on that and we'll go to trap in a second, or should we talk about what?
And buckle up and put your visualizing hats on, people, because I don't have a drawing board, so we'll try to define anything that might be like Colorado jargon for you and try to avoid it.
Let's see if I can get the a whiteboard up here.
Yeah, get a whiteboard up. That might help people. And if you're driving and listening to this, put your visualizing hat on, and we'll still try to draw it out for you. I can't wait to hear people's comments on my thoughts, because my thoughts on offense change pretty
regularly,
and what I'm focusing on especially change like pretty quickly. So it's like, don't fall into like Kins is an idiot. Like, this is, well, you can fall into that. I mean, that's fine, but don't think I'm married to anything. And I need you guys disagreeing with me to forward my thoughts. Okay. So the more the merrier.
Okay. Can you see this okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we're attacking the top of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Disc is here.
Disc is on the sideline.
Flat mark, typically.
Mark is forcing them back towards the middle of the field. Reset is at a 45-degree angle.
So I could draw this
at the middle of the field.
Just to over-exaggerate that, to be clear.
Reset is towards the middle of the field, about at a 45-degree angle, backwards.
So what you said, what you're really out on right now is this.
I'm so out because
And
it's
typically,
just so okay. And let's just also say I'm out at this at the club level that I'm playing at. I don't because there's a lot of situations where when I was younger and that person who has the disc on the sideline who's maybe not as skilled of a thrower just needs the best thrower to come get the disc from them.
and typically what the best college teams do, and most club teams, is they try to run a give go motion off of this.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll take this pass and then get it to the middle. So basically they're trying to get to the middle of the field in 2 passes.
Right. But I just don't see a reason why the reset should not attack more aggressively earlier in the stall count. Where I'm at right now, currently, is
I'm gonna redraw some of this.
This is why we have to get like Nut back on too, because Nut will just tell me like I'm wrong and tell me why.
Well, this is a lot of what you're talking about is what we like to focus on, right? Like,
no, yeah, for sure. But at least Nut will like try to like one up me, like mentally, like
challenge you.
Like Nut doesn't let me be right. Like even if I'm right, he'll be like yes and this, like he'll like really gets me going. But because I'm at 2 things, but I also think so. The 2 options I think that there are though. So I think one. If the thrower catches it on the sideline and is being forced back, I think you look to continue immediately. Down the line. One look. You're going to look to continue. You're maybe going to look, and that's like a half second. You're maybe going to look back to the middle of the field for another half second to see if anyone is making an open break side cut from the stack. Towards the break side.
Sure. Okay.
Then after that, I think there's 2 options. Either one, go look at the reset, and they should be attacking really aggressively forward, ideally up into the lane, like sideline space. But if they really were in a position to like go to the other side, then that would work.
Like over here?
Yeah. Like if they need to go over there for some reason, like they're really wide away. Because the main thing is I want them to attack aggressively that, 1, if we hit them, it's a good look. And 2, it's threatening enough that like the whole defense is respecting it. Because it's like if they catch that up the line in this position, like the whole defense has to be ready for like another deep shot or something else to the break side, or there's just so many options off that. Like the defense has to be respecting it. So even just the fact that they're making the cut is going to open so much up. The other option,
I'll just rephrase some of what you're saying.
Yeah.
We would consider completions to this space or even out wide as high value completions, and you're accomplishing a lot with one throw. If you set it up correctly, hopefully it's a relatively easy throw. This throw, the value you get is lower. You are resetting the stall count, but you're losing yards.
And you're just not pressing the defense to like respect anything. Like that's what the defense wants to give you, and it's so easy for them to react off it.
Like if you're able to get another completion on the give go,
for sure,
you're accomplishing something, but you're probably not.
It's not
gaining yards. It's usually easier for everybody else to anticipate that movement.
And you're not like pushing the defense into anything uncomfortable. Like that is what, out of everything that could happen, that's what the defense wants to happen, most likely.
Okay.
The other option I think you have though, because I think what's tough sometimes is sometimes the reset, it may not be worth it to go back to the reset. Like I'm proposing that you should look upfield for a second or 2 for a continue, then a break side cut from the stack, and then go to the reset to have them attack aggressively upfield to either get a good completion or clear them out of this space so that someone else can cut into it. But the other option I think you have, and I'm not going to call it a super dump, but I think them being negative enough that someone could still attack into that space. Like I think a common place for the reset right now is just in the way, and it's potentially not the worst thing if they hang out a little bit farther back.
All right, this is funny. I don't disagree. I just think it's funny because remember when the Belgium U24 team was doing this?
Yeah.
And you were kind of making fun of them.
Well, I was making fun of them. I just didn't think. I think
that's true.
What I was making fun of was I think it's really crucial for that person who's negative to not just be negative and lazily back there. Like if your person goes to poach, that's a win because now you should be able to push up positively and be catching a pass with forward momentum.
Hopefully. Yeah.
If you're what the US was doing was aggressively saying fuck that guy and go and leaving him.
Right.
And if that happens, I think that's a win because you can catch a pass moving forward, having a full vision of the field. And you're accomplishing what you wanted to accomplish in a lot of situations anyway, with even better momentum because you're catching it looking forward instead of going backwards.
How far forward? Like, what if he catches it right here with forward momentum?
But I don't think you're catching it there if that would not be good. And I don't think you're catching it there if your person is actually poaching. Like for your defender to actually be poaching reasonably, they've got to go like pretty far upfield from you.
I definitely think that I would love to workshop some of this stuff. You've heard me say this a lot. If you're trailing the play and your defender's on you, then just keep trailing the play.
Just trail the play.
Because 6v6 is easier than 7v7.
And that's all you're trying to do anyways is offense is create space for people.
I am unsure what the answer is, like how to attack when you are being poached. I do think I can think of a few ways. I'd love to experiment with that. When you were talking about just when you catch the disc on the sideline here,
yeah,
to like give an upfield look to the break side, or like to down the line, and then check to the middle. What I'd like to point out here, and I think you've probably heard me say this a lot too, it's dependent on the momentum of this receiver as well. Like if he catches it and he is now facing the backfield entirely,
right?
I don't want him to spend time pivoting to look upfield.
Completely agree. Like that continuation look is if you caught it with forward momentum and you're looking to continue the flow. If you were coming back, I think you just got to be going with momentum and trying to get it off.
Like to the middle of the field, to a reset.
To reset immediately. Well, because my point that I'm making is the worst thing that I've been noticing is when we're stuck in the middle, which is not aggressively attacking upfield and clearing the space, or not far enough back that we're out of the way for people to attack the middle space.
So let's flip to the trap side where I think some of this is almost easier to visualize.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about. Whoops. Oh, that's all right. I'll redraw that on the other side. Because at Bravo practice yesterday, we were running some sideline stuff, and we harp so often set up positive on the trap side. And all the time, people just set up even. It doesn't matter how many times we say it, they just set up right here.
Yeah.
So the biggest reason why I don't care. I care less about positive and negative, but I generally preach positive because it's more accepted. It's easier to just get buy-in.
Yeah.
I think it's all, those are the basic reasons. But I think that the most important thing is actually what Chance was describing, right? Like if you cannot be thrown to immediately,
Yeah.
then you're not in a good spot.
Well,
Meaning,
and
like, you're right behind the mark's back. So
yeah.
if you're up here, it's slightly better. If you're back here, it's slightly better.
Yeah. And kind of what I'm saying though is I don't even like the idea of like setting up. I don't even want anyone to be stationary in that
Here
space. Like
or here
before,
or here,
definitely the middle one. And
not here.
yeah,
Bad.
definitely not there. Bad. Depending on spacing, the other two are okay, depending on where other people are. But like, I just think once we're catching it on the sideline, what I think is bad is people jogging into that position and losing momentum and then
100%.
going into that space. Like, I think they should just be running up the field, up the line, and like attacking and never really get to like a setup position. And I think it's like, it's just so common in Ultimate that like, oh, we need this like reset. Like this reset has to be in the space. But I just see a lot of the times I see like a lot more bad coming from it. Like especially when they get stationary and it's like a lot of the completions they're catching aren't that threatening. Like I just want them to either keep running.
Yeah.
I want the progression of the thrower on the sideline to be looking at them quick enough that they can keep running and attack upfield aggressively, or they're far they're far enough away that they can just stay behind the play and read what's going on. And that's definitely my secondary option. But I think it'll happen sometimes where you're trailing the play enough that instead of just trying to bust ass and get downfield, just stop moving and see what happens, or really slowly move and see what happens, because I just think it's like the middle ground that's causing a lot of issues.
Totally. And this is true even like, let's say it's not even fully sidelined. I can think of a specific example at Pro Champs. I want to say it's Swells here who catches a hammer from Toby.
Mm-hmm.
It's a flick mark here. And then we had Cutters just coming, I think it was Piper. And then in the end zone, we had a one-on-one situation.
Right.
But coming into this space just means this is no longer an isolated one-on-one.
Because that's the space we want to attack. So the problem with setting up as a reset here is that's where we want to attack off the sideline.
Totally. And
after
people streak through the space even when they're not trying to be a reset.
Totally.
People's instinct is to get in front of the play.
Yes.
Get involved.
And they're not thinking about, like, I almost feel like what offenses need is like in each situation, what is the space? At each situation and at what point in the stall are we trying to attack different spaces? Like I think immediately, depending on momentum, immediately when you catch the disc, there's an initial space that you want to threaten. And I'm saying once you catch it with forward momentum or sideways momentum on the sideline, you're looking in front of you on the sideline to continue. But then after that, the next space you're looking to attack is the slightly positive space in the middle of the field relative to where you are on the sideline. And so what you don't want is someone setting up there and taking 3 stall counts to get out of it. Because I think the worst thing you see is a handler sets up there and makes 3 cuts. And even if they get the disc, they're not catching it with significant threatening momentum to create other chances.
Yeah, I agree. Like there are, certainly situations like we were describing where it's possible to get to the middle of the field, but they usually take another pass. The other, like on a trap side, we have a specific motion that we call a trap counter or a line counter. And that is if someone gets the disc on the sideline, then the original thrower is looking to get it off the sideline. So that's still 2 passes and not ideal. Well, I shouldn't say not ideal. I should say there's more points of failure.
And I mean, that can work really well especially when that person who would be catching it to the middle. So let's draw out this trap counter for people. So here's the situation we're describing. I have the disc on the sideline. Mikey makes an upline cut for me. We want to get the disc off the sideline, but we're not able to. So I have the disc on the sideline. Mikey makes an upline cut for me. I throw it to Mikey. Mikey doesn't have any options to continue the disc downfield. So after like one look of trying to continue the disc downfield, Mikey would immediately swing it back to me off the sideline. And usually what that looks like is I started to clear towards the middle and maybe a little bit upline. And if the timing is right, when Mikey pivots around, I stop, break down a little bit, open my hips to Mikey, and Mikey throws me a leading back, like side pass off the sideline. Yeah. And I think that's good. That's really good when it happens all in motion. And it's really, really good when it happens in motion that was pretty quick, like that the handler was moving. I mean, everything is kind of like that in Ultimate. When the handler if I threw it to you, I started attacking pretty aggressively upfield and upline for you. But instead, when you look off, I break down, come the other way. And I just think what we need is more aggressiveness from the resets and like moving and pushing forward, either to get a pass or to clear the space rather than slowly getting into the space and setting up. Like that, I just think is the worst thing for offenses a lot of the time.
It's much more difficult to guard anyone with momentum. So a moving target. That's why we always ask you guys to attack from this to keep momentum.
And that's why you have to be in such good goddamn shape to play Ultimate. If you want to play at this like super high level, which I think Ultimate will get to one day, you have to be a fucking runner who covers ground during a point.
Mr. Lindsley, for instance.
Right. Well, that's part of what made me realize the effectiveness of it is Grant is so good at throwing it and just busting, just moving, covering ground. Not at necessarily 100%, but at about 80 to 90%, getting the heck out aggressively.
I think, a good lesson for all players at any level is after you throw, the first 3 to 5 steps should be really hard. That's when you can get your defender out of position right away, and then you can sort of read off of him.
For sure.
Him or her.
It's a good habit to have.
One thing we like about this situation is if I was cutting up line for Kins and then Kins loops out wide, his defender has to guard him.
Mm-hmm.
And usually what they're doing is buffering to stop an upline, which is what makes it easier to get a swing.
Drop step, and I just start moving away from the thrower and my defender, and you just put that thing out to space.
Right. But if they try really hard to sell out and guard that swing,
see you later, bud.
Then it probably means Kins can go up line again.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is what I'm really thinking about and how to do it, because I just don't want resets in the space stationary. Like I don't want, when we have the disc on the sideline, I don't want to reset in that space without a lot of momentum. And I think what's hard is it really matters what the progression of the thrower is. And by progression, I just mean where they're looking at what point in their stall count. Because I think once you catch the disc on the sideline, you should only be looking upfield. Assuming you have a reset back there, you should only be looking upfield for a couple seconds. Like I think you look to continue upfield down the sideline. You maybe look to the middle to see if anyone's coming out of that area to cut down to the sideline. After that, you want to look back to the middle of the field and try to get something slightly positive, probably like 15 yards away towards the middle of the field and a little bit in front of you. But if that reset person is anywhere around there, it's going to take a lot longer. So I think you should be looking back to their direction really quickly and early in the stall count to signify to them, like, go, get upfield, get moving.
So typically what we talk about, right, in that vein is if the reset is getting to position, rushing to position, doesn't matter from where. And then for some reason, if they get flat-footed in this space, except for a few of you, we're probably just asking you to go. Just don't get stuck there, because if you do, then it's going to take way too long to get open when you're looked at. Unless your defender is playing off of you, but we just can't count on that.
And the big thing about these reset cuts is when you get them coming from negative, you catch them with forward. Ideally, you catch them with forward momentum, which is the hardest thing. One of the hardest things for a defense.
Let's talk about forward momentum a little bit too. Do you mean when you say forward momentum?
I mean, you're catching the disc running towards the end zone that you're trying to score in.
Does it necessarily mean that it has to be in front of the disc to have forward momentum?
Right. No, not at all. It doesn't have to be positive of the thrower field position wise.
Like backwards if the person is.
And I'd argue that that's a more valuable. I would argue that that's a more valuable completion. If losing 5 yards and throwing it to a person on your team with forward momentum is more valuable than gaining 5 yards to a player coming back with negative momentum.
Right, like to someone going like this.
Yes, I definitely think you could make that argument. I mean, there's part of the argument is like, well, if you throw a bunch of 5-yard completions with negative momentum, you will eventually get to the end zone in a vacuum. But I think for overall flow of offense,
this is better.
People catching it with forward momentum, view of the field is hugely important. And I think that's another reason why you should be looking. And I think with that kind of prioritization in mind is another argument as to why you should be looking at negative cutters earlier in the stall count, to not only try to catch completions where they have forward momentum, but also to be getting them out of space that you want to be threatening.
So I'll try to tie this into Columbia a little bit since Worlds is top of mind.
Yeah.
They are generally very, very good at dinking and dunking to change the angle very slightly, like literally a 1 yard handoff. Sometimes it's not even a yard. And a lot of times it's really effective in changing the angles just slightly enough with that forward momentum to get something bigger. But what I noticed in areas for improvement is aside from the few players who do that really well, a lot of the other players clear with their head down. So maybe like a for instance is, let's erase this. And all of the spaces they throw to are definitely unconventional for us, right? So they might catch one with forward momentum like this.
Mm-hmm.
So this person could still look down the line, and typically they do a great job of that. And then this person might clear away to the middle of the field, upfield a little bit, and their defender stays on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
But they have their head down, and if this throw doesn't go up, then theoretically they should just be able to open up and
back,
boom.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such an important skill for Ultimate players.
Yeah,
it's just like soccer. It's just like all like these big field sports. Like, and in soccer, it's like, I mean, it's one of the most important talked about things, especially for like midfielders and stuff, is like their ability to scan and have an idea of what's going on around them.
I have very few critiques of the Colombian women's team because they're so fun to watch. But in a tight game against the U.S., especially as fatigue, injury set in, I think Vale went out for a little bit. One of their starters also went out with the shoulder. I forget her name, but they were operating in this 12-yard window on the sideline when they had a lot of opportunities to flip the field.
And I think that's so common when I always feel this when it's funny how external pressure correlates to on-field pressure that you will feel. Like And it's actually really funny because if, in a sense, if like as an analogy, if you think of like pressure as like forcing things together, like it really tends to do that to ultimate players on the field. Like big
Like,
pressure. Yes, it forces everyone to get closer. Like the spaces, the resets are going to be 5 yards closer and that kind of stuff. And it actually makes it so much harder to operate effectively.
Right. Same thing is definitely true for Bravo. Like
everyone, you see it on every team.
When we had the least success, it's when we were trying to run little handler movement from these tight little spaces.
Yeah.
But if you just start a little bit further, that window becomes so much easier to hit.
And you can threaten so many other things, and it's beautiful. Yeah. I think people are going to really like this. I know listeners, a lot of listeners I talk to really like when we get into this kind of shit. And I'm excited. I hope people reach out with their thoughts because I'm interested to see what people are thinking about what we're saying.
Give us your thoughts as well on if you know Hex at all, because we got to get Felix on. We've been saying this for weeks and weeks. I'll try to reach out here.
Yeah.
Maybe you can generate a clip here and we'll post it. Felix, we need you.
Yeah.
Please come on.
Yeah. Because he's probably listening to this and be like, one, I've been saying this for so long, you idiots. And two, you're talking about it poorly. Like, I bet he could give us a lot of good. I bet he's just thought about this so much. And we're just like some like monkeys, like who just started to like take the shrooms and figure it out. And he's like, he took the shrooms like 5 years ago. And like, it's so clear for him.
I will say, as a coach, I have that thought a lot where it's like I feel like I'm teaching things, and then a few weeks later, the team may grasp it, but they'll be like, I had this brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And in one hand, I'm like, I've been saying that this whole time, and on the other hand, it's like, thank God.
People get there at their own pace, I guess. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Cool. Well, anything else you want to talk about quickly before?
No, that's what's been on my mind. Reset positioning, reset attacks, progression of the thrower on the sideline.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing. Anything reset related, anything 2-man game, 3-man game. I love that stuff.
Well, that's what drives the offense, like you're saying. That's you look to connect later, and those are good, but without this type of movement and the correct progressions, it's so hard to get open downfield. You can't get those big chunkers. You have to create this type of movement to allow your downfield cutters to get the disc.
Right.
So it all starts here.
You can play classic American style, or actually, funny enough, I thought Japan looked more Western than any other year. I didn't watch them a ton, but a lot of players catching it with negative momentum,
right,
and then turning upfield and looking down a lane,
right.
And obviously Americans have had really good success with that mostly because we're more skilled, bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah, it's still in such an infancy stage.
This U.S. team definitely very smart though. This year's
they're pretty good for sure, no doubt about it.
All right.
Hey, let us know, people.
Yeah, let us know what you think about resets and how you like to play offense. We'd love to hear it.
Let's talk about us. Let's talk about the real Frisbee going on back in the States. Pro championships, baby.
Pro champs.
I guess, are we the pro champs or
pro champs?
Like, Are we the pro champs champs? Are we the pro champs? Are we the pros champs?
I think it's like, pod practice pod pro champs.
I don't like that, but we'll go with it. I'll take your word for it. So, had a super interesting weekend. Super up and down. One of the craziest tournaments for so many reasons that I can remember ever playing. Just most memorable because, I mean, holy crap was I frustrated, sad after day one. Day one was tough.
Well, day one, so we go 1 and 2, but maybe I'll recap day one. Do you want to go game by game?
You can recap game one.
Well,
day one.
So day one was frustrating results wise, but we did have some very tangible things to hang our hat on. Let's see, our O line had great. I literally just counted these, and now I'm struggling to find it. In the ring game, we had 1, 2, 3 turnovers. In truck, we had 2. Revolver, we had 4. So that's
9.
9 turns in the day,
mm-hmm.
and we narrowly came back against truck. They were hucking a storm against us. Against truck, sorry, did I say truck or ring? Yeah, ring.
Ring, we narrowly came back.
Truck, we were 0 for 6 on break chances.
Suck it to all the North Carolina guys who listen to this, because there's a few.
They were 2 for 2 on break chances, so we lost 13-10. I mean, we only turned it twice.
Yeah.
Revolver, we only turned it 4 times.
And the other thing about that is when you're not getting breaks, and so your offense is playing a lot more, like that was 9 turnovers without getting any breaks. Like you probably, if you're breaking the other teams, you probably even have a couple less potentially.
Yeah. Fewer opportunities to turn it over.
Just, yeah.
So anyway, that's day one. It was frustrating, but go ahead. I'm going to close my door.
Well, and it was frustrating because we were 0 for 10 break opportunities in our last 2 games. We were 0 for 6 against truck, and we were 0 for 4 against revolver, which I don't remember a game where we were 0 for anything, let alone 2 in a row. So It was like, okay, interesting. And the funny thing about that is a lot of those guys who are on the D lines who will help score if our O line gets broken can score as the second O line, but couldn't score if it was a defensive opportunity.
Yeah.
So that gave me hope, but also was confusing.
Right.
But the ring game was cool. I mean, the ring game, thank God we won that game, going 0 for 3. I don't know if it would have changed anything. I guess we did finish third.
We would have had to play machine in quarters.
Right.
If we had lost that game.
Right. So who knows what happens then. But yeah, so we beat Ring. Nice comeback. Rattled off a few breaks at the end.
They were 8 for 10 on Hucks. They were just shooting, and we
shout out Fairfax because he had a game.
Smokes.
Yeah, except for Ty the kryptonite.
Ty Wynn, our little guy, got a block on him late to make them 8 for 9 on Hucks.
Yeah.
They were 8 for 8 going into the
That's ridiculous.
18th point of the game.
That's ridiculous. Truck was a weird game, just like on the corner of the complex. Truck missing so many people. Felt very, I don't know, didn't feel like super, it was intense, but not like super intense. Kind of didn't feel very, I don't know, wasn't like super memorable, I guess, for me.
We had a chance to break right out of the gate. I think Buck was on Roy, and Roy bobbled it. And then, Buck is probably our most surefire chance, decision maker.
Yeah, one of them for sure.
And turned it over on the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I thought we were going to smoke truck for sure after that point, even. But
I know. I thought we were going to win the whole time, but I mean, 0 for 6 is crazy.
yeah,
So, and then Revolver was like this weird game where we had a lot of time, hours before we played them at like 6. And offense was playing well, but it's also really hard to like go back out there as the pressure like keeps building as an O-line when you're not getting breaks. And it just like keeps building, and eventually, whatever, they got us. And we were 0 for 4 in break opportunities in that game. Leo played fantastic, had a real game against us. Shout out Leo. You
yeah.
did good.
What do you think about this? Leo and Jock,
I know.
the two Brown kids, were
I thought
probably
about it.
maybe the best two players we played against all weekend.
That's what I thought about. Yeah, for sure. Crazy. That's crazy that they were on a team together. I'm sure that was fun. But yeah, so that was day one, and I was really disappointed and whatnot at the results, but I did wake up feeling very good about us, which was funny because I felt like warming up for the chain game. A lot of emotions.
You know what we haven't even talked about yet?
What have we not talked about?
That's still day one relevant. Mr. Grant Lindsley.
Right.
So the very first point of ring, we get broken, and it's literally the first time that group has ever been together.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk quickly what it was like playing with Grant and integrating him?
It was just really cool, honestly. I guess for the Grant summary would be, well, what's funny is actually, along with the whole theme of the day, he looked good on day one, but not spectacular. I think he had one drop, just like flat drop, and on that first point, Toby hucked to him, and he just kind of like misread it and didn't catch a deep one. It was like, all right, but I mean, he's still moving the ball well. He's running really well. He's just smart. But it was like, maybe, he's not going to be like a superstar. And then the next 2 days, he went full on superstar, full on all-star. I mean, was just, don't know how old he is, but has legs 4 days.
35.
Runs so incredibly well because of the workouts that he does. Grant does a lot of track workouts, which clearly help him because he does a lot of like 200s, sometimes looks like some 400s he'll do like 2 with maybe 30 seconds rest in between after the first one, and then he'll take a longer rest of a few minutes, and then he'll do 2 more. And he was running really, really well. Mr. Grant was. Break marks, crazy. Came up with some huge skies. But I also think it's just that, so I was talking to Buck a little bit about it afterwards. I think the most memorable thing, obviously how well he played. He had a crazy point in the Revolver game where we subbed him on for a D point, and he went like full takeover mode and just did everything perfectly and threw some crazy breaks and got resets, and we scored, and it was like, okay, you're sick. But I think the most memorable thing for me that stood out about him was just, like, obviously, like, he knows coming in that everyone knows who he is. And so, like, it's his first weekend with the team. He's never met anyone. And I think we're a good team for that. Like, I think we're welcoming, and we have a lot of people that are just, like, break the ice easily. But just, like, how he finds the balance of being a new member of the team, listening to what the team wants him to do, and then speaking up for what he thinks, because obviously he has so much ultimate experience. Like, when he feels like we should be doing something, or as a line, as a team, or whatever, like the ability to still like speak up in a way and like get that respect. Like, he's very aware of his position as a human coming in, and just plays the balance of it so well. And like, even like, I would remember talking to him about one thing offensively, and he was just being so receptive, which also just makes sense because I think no one gets to that point without being like having those skills. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, is just like how he's able to fit in so well and be so understanding of like who he is and how other people are thinking about him, and just come into a team that he's literally never met before and fit in.
Still learning names.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, his presence is he's very calming, a really good teammate, and I feel like his suggestions or feedback is really simple stuff, but pays huge dividends. And you know, you touched on it, his throws. Like, I think we all knew how good Grant was, but seeing it in person, when I know, like, because I know all of you like everybody in Bravo, I know their skill set so well, and I know what they're hitting and what they're looking off. And a lot of times they'll hit it, but just not super precisely, or not set up the next throw very well, or they'll look something off. It's just not like that with Grant. Like every single time, it's the simple things. He's finishing swings and it comes out so fast, but it's so catchable. And he'll put like just a little bit of OEO edge on an inside. Being able to connect against a flat mark when we're not super separated from the stack. It's huge. Like, it looks so easy, but it's just relative to the rest of the team, the players, seeing how consistently he does it. It's kind of mind boggling.
And there's really long attacking cuts, upline, deep, unders.
Yeah.
It's just crazy all weekend. And I did have some people at championship weekend telling me that Grant wasn't all that anymore. And I would just to say wrong, just wrong, unless something happens, just wrong. So yeah, that was really cool. And then, right, so we went into day 2, played chain, little bummed, was kind of concerned in the warm-ups, thought people were
pissed,
frustrated. And I wasn't one of those people, but I felt a lot of frustrations coming from people. And I was a little scared because I was like, if shit goes bad, it could go real bad.
I know.
And it didn't. We got that early break out of the way, got the monkey off our backs, whatever.
We got broken early too.
We did?
Yeah, we got broken first.
We did?
Yeah, the second O point we were broken.
Yeah. Don't really remember much, but
it was like a weird end zone turn. Grant, I think, actually overshot Seth a little bit.
Oh, Seth, the down the line. Yeah.
He like stepped in a hole.
It was just a tight shot. The hole suspect. The hole is a little suspect. The hole, but it was a tight shot down the sideline. But we did get that break early. Big sigh of relief for the whole team. It's like, okay, we're not going to third.
Can I say though, in warm-ups, you were mentioning how angry everybody was. In the huddle before the game, I was like, I don't know what to say, and I think I just said, I can tell we're really angry, and I hope that we take it out on the other team.
Yeah,
it was the tension was palpable.
I mean, 2 games, no breaks. It's going to be there for sure. But I think that's one of our strengths as a team. Like, I think a lot of teams could fold there.
Right. And I will, before you talk about how the chain game goes, TK and I and Chance, we met Saturday night and talked for a while. Honestly, a lot of it was pretty negative, but we were hyper focused on the D-line O's style of play, and really it wasn't changing much. It was trying to play the way that we've been practicing the last 2 months, and TK did a good job for the D-lines of emphasizing how the downfield folks can help support the way we like to drive from the backfield.
Right. Which I think is just so. Now watching teams not like get a lot of momentum from the backfield, I don't know, just it makes a lot of sense to me, I guess. But I do think it's hard for those D-line guys because they're tired, you know.
Yeah,
And sometimes it's hard to like run a lot of cuts and I think I feel like it's usually harder for the D-lines because you have less aggressive cutters who want the disc, so it can be harder to connect downfield, and you really have got to like move the ball well to get the cutters to a spot where they can get open. And like sometimes the cutters can't just make it happen as well as the offensive cutters can.
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't even really remember much about the chain game. All I know is we broke them. They like kind of started coming back a little at the end, but not enough. We won by like 2.
3. We had 4 turns. Another pretty clean offensive game. They did tie it. We went up early, but they did tie it at 10s and 11s, and then we rolled off 3 breaks, I think.
Yeah.
Or we ended up winning 15-12.
Yeah. So, but then really the highlight of the weekend was the semifinals against Revolver. We had 0 turnovers as a team. That's crazy. Never seen that before. Never heard of that before, really. I don't think. Do you?
The only time I've been a part of a game like that was against a high school team.
Yeah.
But no, not at this level.
And I mean, we definitely had some things go our way. We had like a foul call, an injury.
Yeah.
An injury before turnover, and a foul call on a sus throw from Coolman.
Yeah.
That's like a weird situation because it was a foul, but it was like he kind of like miscommunicated with the receiver. So it's like, but if it's a foul, I guess it's a foul anyway. But I don't know. It's a little weird. But
it was a little weird.
But that being said, really cool to play a game with 0 turnovers. And it was just like the mindset everyone had of not doing shit that was hard and making everything easier with your legs, which is definitely the key, but it's so obviously every team is always trying to have 0 turnovers, and it's so hard to actually execute on all those things. The other thing I just will say about it was like talking with Seth a little bit after, like we just didn't have that many execution errors too. Like usually you're even due for like a drop or a throwaway on just a simple throw. Like we just didn't have any of those in that game, and just not a lot this whole weekend. So focus, I think, was high. And then finals was just really like we played a lot looser, obviously, relative to how we did in the San Francisco game. It's fun to play against Cal again. He's like maybe he's their best offensive player. At least he was there.
He's definitely their most heavily featured offensive player with this grouping. It was fun to watch him cook a little bit, and sad, bittersweet. I had some pride. I felt a little pride that their most high usage player was one of our players.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes me feel good about like Bird and just like the quality of player that comes out of there, you know, like just so good. I mean, obviously he's really athletic too, and that helps, but he's just so good. And yeah, that was fun. Got the Orion matchup, which was kind of interesting because hadn't really had someone. I rarely have someone like that much bigger than me guarding me because there's just not that many of them out there, and so that was kind of fun. Like I thought it was interesting. Like against Chuck, I was getting Bloodgood, and it's just like they're the most opposite player types ever, which is interesting. But yeah, and so we beat Dig. It was a pretty good game. I feel like they were low on numbers. They were definitely seemed tired. I mean, everyone's tired. We were tired too, but
I
Their
think
big
they were
guys
down
were
to
tired.
16 players or something.
Yeah.
We had 3 turns that game. Toby went off. Grant went off for sure. Jay had a great game.
Jay had some huge blocks.
Let's see. What were the highlights? Seth Ferris had that sweet goal line hand block.
That was the exclamation point for sure.
Jay had that layout block on the first throw after our turnover.
Yeah.
You mentioned not a lot of unforced errors. I felt like even our opponents were super clean.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that Dig had that bobble on their second 0 point that we broke, and I was just so astonished. Like because I feel like teams don't make mistakes against us, and then watching the machine Dig semi, that game only went to like 11-10.
9-8.
It was 9-8. That's crazy.
Okay.
And there was just a ton of turnovers.
Tired, sloppy. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me and for people listening is just like for tournaments, but for all Frisbee, like you just have to have legs. Like I think those track workouts that Grant does are great. Like you just have it's a running sport. You don't want to be too big. Like Babbitt is sick and super scary as a human being, but not like necessarily a super ideal like Frisbee build for like a tournament, you know?
Yeah, I feel like he makes a handful of gigantic plays a game.
Totally.
And then a player like Grant is affecting the game constantly.
Because he's just running all over the field. Like you just got to be able to run nonstop and have some bursts as well. But you've got to be like a damn near cross country runner that can sprint and is like explosive a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
so which morning? One of the mornings, was it finals morning? We were in the lobby and you were just lamenting over the tournament format.
It. Yeah.
So you, after the chain game, you into full body cramp mode.
It was full lower body cramp. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
You were in a rough shape.
It was so sad. It was terrible. Like my legs just stopped. I had Jarv and whoever, like Piper, carry me to the tent because I tried to crawl to the tent for shade and my legs would seize and cramp up. It was nuts. I was shocked. I was shocked.
Fortunately your mom was there to take care of you.
Yeah.
So you're under Machine's third tent. They were kind enough not to kick you out.
Yeah. Actually, watching that semifinals, like at the beginning, you can see me in the tent. I thought that was funny. I mean, all I had was like a breakfast sandwich from Panera that day. It was an early game. It was like 11? What time was the game?
Yeah, 11-ish.
So, it's not ideal. Like you got to eat more than that, I guess, is the lesson learned. You got to eat a lot more and snack more. It's just hard. Like you never want to, for a morning game, you can't be like, because we probably woke up at like, actually I woke up early that morning because I don't know why. I always wake up early for tournaments. Probably woke up at like whatever. I don't know. But I guess moral of the story is you got to eat more and snack more and fuel your body better than I did. Or else you're fucked.
Well, yeah, talk about the heat a little bit.
Right. It was super hot. And I think that's another thing. Hot, humid, you're just sweating a shit ton. And there was definitely a moment in the chain game where I thought it was going bad because at halftime, I just felt fatigued, like kind of empty, not super energetic, which I rarely ever feel in an ultimate game. And so that was probably a signal that like shit was going bad. But it was funny because I didn't cramp during the game, just after, just died.
The morning of finals, though, when we were all sitting around the breakfast area, Kins is just going on a rant about how much he hates tournaments and how terrible they are for the body.
And how, well, I think one of my main points too is just like, I wish we could feature a higher level of Ultimate more consistently and play it, feature it, and also like play it because people can play at a pretty high level in the finals on the last day, but like it's just a different. It's not as high level as it could be due to like how everyone's bodies are feeling, you know, with playing that many games. I mean, you just don't have much
Left to
left
give.
as you know could in like the first or second game. So I think that's one of my like more frustrating things about it. Like I do think they're fun, and I think a lot of why I was feeling that way was because I cramped and so I was extra sore. But I still wish that I could play Ultimate because it's just interesting how like the finals and the most important games are when you're the most fucked.
Tired.
And like there is something cool about that, but there's also something not cool about it where I just wish that, you know, everyone was fresh, the other team was fresh, everyone was feeling as good as you can be, ideally. Obviously,
Well,
you're never going to
I
be
guess,
feeling great, but
couple counterpoints. One being that's never going to be true no matter what sport you're playing,
yes.
right? And um, you could argue, I don't think it's a good argument
Yeah.
that it's part of this. It's built into the sport. I think that's what TK was.
Yeah.
I
It
don't know if
is
he was
built in.
arguing that or
Right.
just he was just calling it
No,
out
it
as the
is.
reality
Like,
of things.
it is part of the sport, and that's just because the way it has always been. But I don't think if we got to a point where we didn't have to do that, that people would be like, yeah, let's make sure everyone is like super fucking dead going into. Let's make sure it's like their sixth game in 3 days when they're
um,
playing the
yeah, I
finals.
would say it's. I've said this before. I think it's just dangerous. It's not good for the body. Um, I Buck, for instance, is an incredibly fit person in shape. But because he had one bad hamstring injury, like the recovery time plus and then the load, it gets tweaked again because the demand is too great. It's more than anyone should go through.
It's a crazy demand. It is fun, and winning winning felt good. It didn't. It wasn't like this like crazy euphoric feeling. Like I think losing sucks way more than winning those tournaments is good. Like if we had lost, I probably would have been like, I can't believe I was doing this, this, and this, and we did this, this, and this. But winning, it was just like satisfying in a way,
It's
but
a
not.
good checkpoint.
It's a good checkpoint, and it was satisfying, but it's not anything like nationals because nationals is like the one that you want to win. But
We've talked about some of our differences in mentality for UFA versus club, and we're historically known for not being a great regular season club team. I mean, partly because you've been hurt the last 2 years, but there's a lot of reasons, and we take our time to get better, and we're afforded that. We're allowed to do that.
right,
We're not punished for it. Um, Whereas in UFA, every game matters.
yeah,
And if you're not prepared, if you have a bad day, bad game, if you have a couple game stretch where you're 0 for 10 on break chances, that probably tanks your season. Like you don't get a chance to play those teams
you're not
again.
getting the first place bye, and you're not, yeah, for sure.
So I don't know. I don't know what to say about it other than I'm glad that we have this format that
Hmm.
allows us to keep getting better. Because I mean, I do think we're good at it. We're good at figuring out what we're bad at.
Yeah, I also think it puts a big premium on depth and throughout a tournament how you're utilizing your roster, and I think it's something that teams and coaches should be thoughtful and creative about when calling lines and structuring lines and
Yeah.
thinking about playtime, just going into games.
Here's something about tournaments versus UFA as a coach. Obviously, I can have a greater impact game time of club because it's the time is there's so much more time.
Yeah.
Um, but there's the real time feedback of being able to go game to game and make tweaks is helpful,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because like I just don't have enough time. You'd think that in a UFA setting, I will just take all that. That'll take the 2 week, 1 week time to completely prepare, be ready, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a busy person, unfortunately, and life happens, and I don't get to
Right.
my to-do lists. I don't watch the film until it's too late. Whereas everything is top of mind at a tournament, and
Yeah.
I think I was pretty flat against Ring too. I was getting my feet under me in terms of
Mm-hmm.
personnel. We didn't really cross you guys over in an efficient way,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm able to make those adjustments in a tournament, and I'm not nearly as good at that
Yeah.
in pro. But so we won. That was cool.
It was cool. Yeah, and I mean, I guess the other interesting thing about this tournament was everyone missing their world's players too, and so how much teams will be different.
Yeah.
It's like there's a part of it that the teams. I mean, there's a part of it that the teams are still the teams, and so their culture and mentality and stuff still plays a big part in it. But then there's also a big part of it that's like Truck is just missing so many good players that they obviously had a bad
Yeah.
tournament, but they had a bad tournament because they're missing 8 starters who are like awesome. So
Right.
definitely another thing to keep in mind about the tournament. And honestly, one reason that I felt good about going into the tournament was because I felt like we had a lot of guys who are good and close to the caliber of a USA team, but didn't make it. And so we have a lot of good players, whereas a lot of other teams were missing a lot of other good players. And so, especially when we figured things out, we were really able to just overpower teams, on offense and on defense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think Truck and Machine are still the top dogs going into nationals.
Yes. I don't give Machine the same respect that I give Chuck.
Well, sure, that's fair because Truck is. I think that's more of a compliment to Truck than a dig at Machine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's both, I guess. I just
I
think Truck is by themselves, and I would put Machine in a tier below them for sure.
think Machine's talent is as good as any roster.
Yeah,
I
they
think
got
their
some
style
talent.
is maybe just a little more high variance. You know, Truck doesn't turn it over.
Maybe. I also think the thing with Machine is if, like how I said, one of our strengths was we got hit in the face and we're able to respond because we're close as a team. I think if you hit Machine in the face, because they have a lot of travel players, I don't know if they're as close as some of the other teams and can respond as well to that adversity just because they're not as together. And that's just an outsider perspective, but I
Yeah, that's an
don't know
interesting
how.
question.
I mean, I think it's, just even from having so many travel players, I think that's a fair thing to question about them as a unit.
Their core has been together for a long time,
Strong
though.
core. That's true. I mean, I will say just like watching club and whiff diff sometimes now after playing the UFA, like with all the calls and all the everything, sometimes I am just like, I don't know, man.
You had some good heckles. I felt like Jacques, you made Jacques giggle.
Oh, really? I don't remember about.
I think he called a foul on the mark, maybe on Sam Van,
Oh,
and then you were like, "All right, everybody, get your rest."
yeah, yeah, because it was like a 4 turnover point. Yeah, well, right. I mean, that stuff, so I think that is ridiculous. Like how late in the game, and I mean, I do it too, but late in the game and during long points, like the calls just go up because people are tired and the points are more important. I think that's insane. And it's just it's not insane. I think sometimes is, it's so inconsistent that I wonder if it's like, how, I guess it's not super enjoyable.
All right. This question is from Ryan, who's asked questions before. He asks good ones
Oh yeah, Ryan.
off of Instagram. His handle is RZFang16. This is kind of long, so I'll read them and see what we decide to answer. See, when talking about AP, which is our defense, you guys seem to place an emphasis on giving up the least bad option to the offense and taking away more threatening looks. I think the specific example was really stopping the inside break to front of the stack, preferring to concede an open side swing.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance that style versus more aggressively hunting for blocks? Are there players or teams that exemplify the ends of the spectrum? Ooh, that's a good question. Is there even a big difference to you? Yeah, I think that's a good one to talk about. He asked a couple more. We'll see what we get through.
What was the part about? Is there teams that what? Teams and players that what?
Exemplify the ends of the spectrum, meaning like a team that is very focused on hunting for blocks versus just
Yeah.
creating pressure over time or
Right.
giving up less good
Right.
options.
Right.
Let's see, what was the first part of how do you balance that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the short of it. The long and short of it is we definitely, the way we like to play defense is, and offense, honestly, is playing the percentages. So creating more difficult situations to consistently work yourselves out of. That said, TK does a great job of this as our defensive coach. Everything is sort of dependent on what your skill set is and what your matchup is. So there are lots of situations where we might tell, for instance, like a Ty Win, who is very, very, very athletic and quick. We might say, in this situation, if you feel like you can get a block, go for it. And then I think we do a pretty job of outlining what you're potentially giving up. For instance, not being able to set a mark, which could lead to cascading, break train. And so I think that's the quick answer. Would you add anything to it?
No. Yeah, I think right. No, I think you said it well. That's the balance. Is, I mean, you have to trust the players' instincts and stuff as to when, if they feel like they can go get a block, to go do it, but also know that. And I mean, I'm in the camp of like the best defenses, and that's also part of, because of how my physical abilities is like to contain, take away the things that you should be taking away, and then once the offense has made a mistake and have put themselves in a position to feel a lot of pressure, that is when you decide to, go get the block. You shouldn't just be trying to get a block one on one with a really good cutter ISO'd in the lane, or one on one against a good handler in the reset space with a lot of stall left and a lot of space.
Right. And a lot of our defenders still probably bait too much, get beat in certain situations, and it's very frustrating, I will say.
Totally.
But every once in a while they make amazing plays too.
Yeah, bait. I think the other one is thinking you're gonna go get a block and not having a mark. It was really when we were playing revolver, I had Dex on me twice. And Dex is someone who's like very athletic and tall. And if he wanted to just like pressure me the whole point, it would be very frustrating. And it would be difficult. Like I think he would do a good job. Both times, two of like the couple times he guarded me, he went super hard on the first under, laid out, didn't get either of them, and left me unmarked. And both times I threw a huck and ended the point. And it's like, it's that balance of like you think you can get the block, you have to obviously go for it. But at the same time, these were just like pretty like quick initiating plays where I can just like get an under. Like you don't need to go get the block right there at that point. And it was really costly for the defense both times. And so I think that's really hard for like young athletic defenders to find the balance. And I think that once you figure that kind of stuff out, can make you a really, really good defender. Because talking for someone who plays on offense, like you just don't. I'd rather have someone who's bidding on every under and gets one out of whatever and I get to throw free throws after, than someone who's right there constantly pressuring you, making you work really hard. Like you just want to keep that pressure building.
Yeah,
Don't open up the release valve.
exactly. All right, maybe not as interesting of a pod question, but I've heard spread offense in a couple different places now. That's the setup where the vert moves side to side against the momentum of the disc to
Mm-hmm.
clear the continuation lane. Right? He's asking if that's what it is.
Right. Correct. I think for the most part. Yes. Who knows how different places are doing it, but
yeah, I don't know if I suppose that's probably
yeah.
the best definition that we would have for it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it's just for me, my understanding. So this was something that I guess Nut brought over from North Carolina,
which had some roots from Revolver, from mid
and I mean,
2010s when they were dominant.
yeah. And now I've gotten to this like weird point with how I think about offense, and so I would be super interested in hearing. Maybe this is again where I feel like I want to do more. Someone explain to me more about like hex, because I kind of feel like all offenses are the same, and you can call things. At least all the offenses we've run here are, you can call them different things, but they all are doing the same shit. And if you're just like playing it, they don't feel different. You can have like some different like principles on how you cut in different spots and stuff, but for the most part, it's all just like the same shit. But yeah, it was just basically a side stack. You're creating a lane in front of the disc for people to attack, because that's the most obvious and threatening place to attack is in front of the disc, under and deep. And then when you swing the disc horizontally and you want to keep attacking that space, then the people who were in the stack previously out of the way, who are now right in front of the disc, just move, and then someone cuts in front of
Fills
the
the
lane.
space.
Yeah. I think one of the hard parts was it always felt like we didn't want to swing it that much sometimes. This was
Or
in
were we
college.
swinging too much?
Right, like we'd swing it too much, and therefore like we didn't want to swing it that much, which is like not ideal, I guess, for us, which I don't think is a problem of the offense. It was just like we couldn't figure those things out.
Yeah, I think Dark Side has run it the best of any team that I've seen it. At least the version of spread that we're talking about. We still do a lot of it. It's just not.
Exactly. Like it's all the same shit. I think we just got out of our heads about it. Like, because you can run a vert stack, and I think, okay, not just a vert stack, you can run a center vertical stack. And I think it's largely the same shit because once you move the ball to the sideline or closer to the sideline, you're just having someone cut in front of the disc, which is essentially the lane that we would have in spread. And maybe the stack doesn't move as much, but I don't think it needs to move that much because I also think like if you're just going to the extremes of like going sideline to sideline, if your stack is moving sideline to sideline, like those people can just be in such non-threatening spaces that they're just so far away from the disc. It can be easy to poach off of them and hard for them to get engaged unless the disc moves well.
Right.
But like a vert, a hoe, once you're moving the disc upfield, they all look the same because you generally move the disc upfield, not directly in the middle, like on one of the like outer thirds. And then someone's cutting in front of it.
Totally.
And someone's probably cutting off that person who's cutting. And then you're probably going to a reset. And then but this is why I want to see the other teams because I'm like, what are the other fuckers doing? Like, are they just swinging it, no cuts, stationary? I don't know. But to me, it's like it's probably all the same shit. Like
we got to, we got to talk to Felix, man, about how.
Yeah, we should have him on just because like it'd be cool to me to think of offense in a different way, but it just seems like right now everyone mostly does the same shit. You might prefer a different cut. You may prefer to finish your cut one way as another, as like a team. But for the most part, a lot of it's the same.
Both offensively and defensively, when I feel like we are at our best, it's when everybody is in the headspace of not trying to do too much.
Totally.
When we had our culture meeting at the beginning of the year, close to the beginning of the club season, Alex Piper quoted Shane Battier. I think the gist of the quote is be a superstar at your role. And I definitely feel the most euphoric as a team when it's clear that we're hitting that or getting close to it.
Totally.
And I would say that we did a good job of that this weekend. And for the most part of the last two nationals. Mm-hmm. And I'm hopeful that we can get there again because it really is the best feeling. And
yeah, that's the key.
That's
when you're trusting. That's when everyone is doing what they're good at. You're trusting your teammates to do what they're good at. And when you're trying to do something you're not good at, that's where the mistakes come. Because whatever you're really good at, you can do consistently at a high level.
One final thing about the offensive structure as you were answering the spread question. Mm-hmm. We had Swells calling our sets this weekend, and he did a great job. After the poll goes up, I know what he called, but a lot of times it looks nothing like it because you guys are just playing offense.
Totally, and you got to react as soon as you see them, and it's all
right. I don't think this last thing that Ryan sent us is a question, but I think it's an idea. I'll read it quickly. I think a super cool content idea would be a rundown of different styles of offense and defense used in elite club as you see it. If you say a soccer team uses positional play or football team runs a West Coast offense, I have a really good idea of how they want to operate, but we don't really have that shared vocabulary across the community beyond different stacks, which are mostly just used for pull plays before getting into your real offense, from what I can tell.
Totally.
Yeah, I think if I were to categorize offense and defense very generally in a binary way, it's probably one is more possession based and one is more like vertical lane based. Defense, there's a few teams that are more switchy poachy, and majority of teams are more matchup, I would say, in men's club.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I think if I think about, it's more switchy. I think ring is more. They'll do both is the thing, so it's tough to say really, and they probably have different. I think a lot of teams do the switchy putchy very well now. Revolver.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Um,
Like I think the
um,
true matchup is harder to find.
so maybe there is some level of switching that's included in matchup, but then the if I were to delineate the other style, it would be closer to a zone, which there are very few of. I think maybe some of Machine's defense can get pretty zony.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes chain. We ran some zone this weekend.
Dude, that reminds me just of some of the teams. This is why I think the international stuff is cool. I saw Colombia and Japan running some really really good freaking zones.
Yeah, you watch Manu and Vale play together, and half and Cartagena, like they're just handing it off to each other, and
And,
it's like a slight change
totally.
of angle in the mark. Sometimes it makes no difference, but sometimes it's what opens up
It
a
was really
nice
watching
look.
the Colombia women, and I was like, "Holy shit, you guys are fucking heads up in your zone." I was shocked. I think that's just teams don't work on it enough. No club team has bought in to being like, we're gonna practice a zone a fuck ton
Yeah,
because I think you could do it. I just don't think they're fucking. I also think like I think there's a part of being like maybe this is wrong, but I think there's a part of like the masculine urge to be like, I'm gonna fucking out athletic this motherfucker.
the Quinn finers.
I'm gonna lock down my matchup because I'm bigger and faster and stronger and fuck your zone. That sounds boring.
When we were watching the Japan game, Japan sets a zone and Quinn's flashes across the field, and I'm like, Quinn's so upset right now.
He's pissed.
All right, so for our BE Ultimate play of the game, I don't know if it'll be a full set here, but we'll cover a couple of actions that Dig ran against us consistently. Out of a side stack, they um, will have
Oh,
cricket.
this cut was so gross. Oh my god.
You mean Calvin's cut?
Yes.
So they're coming out side stack, and as of this play, we'll see Hall of Famer Josh Marquette cricket flash across the lane and open up some space for Calvin to fill underneath. Um, it
Meow.
and it's this at this point, it's less of a set play and more of a impressive use of their spacing and their give go moves.
Mm-hmm.
How they quickly transition from small space to big space and back to small space. They ran this one, I don't know, maybe a third of their O points against us.
That cut was from Calvin was super impressive. So long and powerful. And the
So
change of direction at the top is so good.
I'll pause it a little bit before Josh's cut here.
So let's see.
If you see Dig coming on a side stack, Cricket's probably flashing across the lane. So, I mean, I don't know if they never hit this one against us, but I don't know if it's a typical look that they are wanting to hit. I would say probably, but Calvin always has a lot of space to use afterwards. Um, and then this duo of Calvin and Carapella were pretty deadly for us. I like this spacing though because
Yeah.
they use the middle of the field pretty well, and also Marquette is fully isolated on this far rail. What do you think? Anything to add here?
No, probably. I don't like. We were tight there when they're coming out of their side stack, and
Yeah, like
I'm
maybe.
anti that. Just have some people out in the lane, like I think, who absorb it, and a cap, and then you run into other issues. But
Yeah.
it's just part of the game of offense and defense that you're playing. Like I don't think there's any reason that Coleman needs to be on top of Calvin that much
So that's a
with
good.
Carapella at the back.
That's a good point. Knowing your teams, your personnel, your matchups is pretty key. Like this Huck, it's probably not a look that Dig ever throws. Very rarely.
Yeah. Plus, there's like 3 people out of screen back there, so
For sure. So
like they
so
can't huck it to
Kuhlman
Calvin.
for us, I think I mentioned it to him after this point. Really, probably doesn't need to commit so hard on this this out, which opens up a huge under for Calvin.
For sure.
Okay, so side stack, we'll call that one. Well, we call it side stack flash. All right, so here we have Dig running this set again. This side stack flash in the second half, although the LT World player is freezing on me a little bit.
So there he goes.
You can see they're about to center the disc.
And
Cricket is in motion.
Yeah, that they put Calvin not at the top of the stack. They put him at the second to highest.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're just less suspecting of him, but and then they have the top of the stack cut for him.
Right. So we do a little bit better job in this point of containing the continue.
Yes.
Calvin still gets open here.
Gets open for an under. Jarv takes away the under, though, initially.
Yeah.
But has to guard like 4 cuts and does eventually get dropped.
Yeah.
And then I like how they go into their almost more like vertical stack, small, quick movement stuff here as like they've been disconnected and they look to try to get back to connected to their. Although this does get a little bit chaotic for them.
A little dicey. Yeah, but you can see the difference, right? If your play leads you to operating from a sideline versus the middle of the field, oftentimes the outcome is not as good.
Right. I mean, that's really the difference is Jarv did get dropped, but he made it on like the 4th cut and they struggled to be connected like they were in the first point.
Right. Which I'll play.
Whereas like in the first point, Cal hits that clean under to the middle and is just able to run this super long give go off it. He was not able to do that in the other one.
And then I'll just play this one once more. Flash across the lane. Even Calvin catches it a little bit closer to the sideline.
Yeah, definitely.
Dig's good enough to operate out of this spot of the field. They're more than skilled enough, but like we were talking about earlier, this is a situation we prefer to be in over the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm. And then they just kind of get stuck in who they're looking at.
Yeah, Kuhlman does a pretty good job of.
Yep, they don't get a clean look to anyone, and with space.
Right. And I guess you could argue, just since Ryan had the question, you could argue that Calvin might be trying to do a little bit too much.
For sure.
Could just try to get out of the set. Maybe not. He wasn't in there for very long.
Yeah.
There you have it, though. That's our BE Ultimate Playbook.
BE Ultimate Playbook Play of the Week. Brought to you by Pod Practice.
I guess that turned into more of a film breakdown. Maybe we should call this Film Room or something.
Yeah, but it was a play. A film room would have been fun. I would have had a film room for sure. But that was fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Peace out. We'll see
We'll see you soon.
yeah, with someone cool from Worlds maybe.